I'm pumped today. Right now, we have Jeremy Evans, and we're going to be talking about really cool rigs and getting ready for your next overland trip, because this guy has built some cool stuff. I'm excited to talk to you about this. We've had a lot of conversations before. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Jeremy Evans. I've been in Oregon 20-something years. I was born in Austin, Texas. Moved up here with my parents early teens, and then I've been in Central Oregon for about 10 years. Been in the off-road scene basically since I moved here. I was always into performance cars, and then moving out Central Oregon with just so much land available. Like the public land we have out here is crazy. Obviously it translated over into moving into the off-road world, and got started. I had I remember like a 2000 Nissan Pathfinder. I was really good at getting that little thing stuck, tiny little tires. I had wanted a Land Cruiser, an 80 Series Land Cruiser for years after a buddy of mine got one. And back in 14.
They're kind of cool.
Yeah, they're all right. I heard somebody else here likes them too.
Yeah.
I don't remember who that was. Also a fan of big tires.
Yeah.
Yeah. But picked that up back in 14 and slowly started working on it. And then about 8.5 years ago, decided to figure out what I want to be when I grow up. Still haven't figured that out. I just don't want to grow up. Sounds awful.
Yeah.
But
Underrated.
been doing that, and then about 4 years ago opened a business in Bend called Technique Vehicle Outfitters. Had a previous name with that, and then a name change as a partner came on and we started expanding. But we specialize in kind of overland vehicle builds, do a lot of off-road stuff. As the market is changing, we're shifting to where we do a lot more what's my passion in the shop, whereas previously it was really just like the overland builds, the overland market, getting people out and exploring in their rig. And now we're starting to do a lot more like off-road oriented stuff. We're three-linking one of my Tex trucks. Mine was on 42s and now is soon to be on 46s with 1-ton axles and all the rest of that. We get some really interesting customers here. Like the clientele in Central Oregon is amazing. There's bluntly a lot of money here, and a lot of people that are really passionate about getting outdoors. Like I've got a rig in the shop right now that's a new Defender. If you've seen those, it's a 110, a long wheelbase, 4-door.
We know 110's really bad.
Yeah.
The older one.
The old ones.
Yeah.
The new ones are pretty rad. It's a turbocharged 6-cylinder with a 48-volt electric assist.
Wow.
The thing is a rocket ship.
Yeah.
It's pretty standard like build. It did the basic, off-road tires. I think they're like 31, 32-inch tires on those trucks is all you can fit with the body work and all that.
Yeah.
Came to us a while back, wanted a light bar. This was a couple years ago, and there was just nothing available for it. So we had the factory roof rack. I wound up hand building out of aluminum a light bar with, I think it's 5 LP6 Baja Design lights on the roof, integrated limb risers to the front bull bar he's got on it that we got for him out of Australia. And it was pretty wild. I think I got 100 hours into that light bar.
So this what you're describing is going to be a capable, brand new Defender 110.
Extremely capable, like for most situations.
Okay.
We set it up for him. It was wild. It was like a genuine like overland build. We wound up did a custom seat delete out of the rear. There's nothing available on the market when he first started coming to us. I just had to hand build everything in our shop.
Yeah.
And
they're pretty new.
Like the light bar was insane. No wind noise and no vibration at 90 miles an hour on gravel. Just had to redesign it so many times to try and get it in there. And I was just hand forming parts and pinning them in the shop. Mm-hmm. We got that set up for him, and he loved it so much that he came back for the seat delete, 240 amp hours of lithium underneath, an inverter, like the sleeping platform built in, fridge assembly built in with full power. It's wild. Like it's the kind of stuff like Overland Dreams are sort of made of. And then,
can you say about how much the budget is on a project like this?
Oh boy. Up to the stage we're at, he's about 70,000 in.
Okay.
Like into what he's got going on.
Including the rig?
No, after the rig.
Okay.
The rig was like 105,000 or something. It's a Defender X. It was the top of the line, everything, every option, every button click that was allowed to.
Yeah.
So he's approaching 200,000 into this build, which is not, typically attainable, but it is sometimes representative of the market we have out here. We've done quite a few rigs that are in the $200,000 to $300,000 range.
You're doing Apex builds.
Attempting to. Yeah. Learning as we go. Mm-hmm. I learn something new every time we do it.
Well, I want to touch on that real quick. So you're obviously very passionate about what you do. I love hearing people that have passion in what they do. You can tell you love what you do. So What are kind of some misconceptions of getting into or fallacies, I guess, of getting into that space, into the off-road space, into the overland space?
From which aspect? From the
customers.
providers?
From the customer's aspect. Like, I think, a lot of people get overwhelmed, like we were talking earlier. Sure. Like, what do I need? How do I do this?
The single biggest one that I see, the single biggest fallacy, as you said, ever, is people think that they can't go do it until they have everything. And like, you really only need the basics, like the common sense basics. Do you have a full tank of fuel? Do you have a way to recover yourself if you happen to screw up? Do you have some communication to reach the outside world? Decent tires. Like, at that point, you pretty much turn your vehicle on and go out. If you look back to the people who look at the original Overlanders coming across that settled Oregon in wagons, somehow I don't think that they were the most ultimately prepared with the absolute best of everything people out there, but they were those people were passionate about a new life and a new creation, and they just went and did it. Like, that's over and over again we have people and they ask me, what's the best modification I can do to my rig? And every single time I say, well, what's your gas budget? Like, do the gas money mod. Like, the driver mod is the single biggest thing you'll ever do. It'll give you confidence and it'll give you capability.
And that happens a lot. People are like, let's go off-roading everything. And they get out of town, oh, I got a quarter tank.
Dude, the number of rigs that or at least battery terminals. I see that one so many times. I don't know why it's always electrical. That was how we kind of got started, was we were building electrical systems for a lot of these rigs. And then it translated over into the rest of the things they wanted. They wanted suspensions and lifts and bumpers and winches and yada, 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 yada. So we were doing a lot of, the business kind of started by accident, and then it just grew. And
it's usually the best kind, right?
It seems to be. It's still growing and still coming along, and I'm still having fun doing it. So I would say it's absolutely I had no idea what it would turn into when it started. It just, good people came on board, and then we had amazing customers, and it kept going. Like, it's been pretty rad.
Well, you've got a really good, wealthy aspect of the customer base here, but they're also just great attitude, really,
It's hard to live in Bend. Like, it's expensive and it's hard to live out here, so the people want to be here, and it completely changes the dynamic of the population. Whether you're wealthy, broke, whatever else, you want to be in Bend. Like, you want to be here, and it completely changes the dynamic. We have people that are coming in happy and they want to be here, and the reason they're doing this isn't to make up for some other aspect of their life that's missing. It's to enhance their life.
Right.
Like, when they come in for the vehicle, it's not, I got to do this because I'm depressed and this is my only outlet and, whatever else. It's, hey, I want to do more. I want to go places, do more. They're really action-oriented people, which is unusual in some areas of this country.
Well, and this place offers exploration.
So much.
You can go out, you can disappear, you can have fun, and I'm sure you get a lot of first-timers. Oh, yeah. And what's kind of the first thing? You've talked a little bit about it before, but, just go.
Yeah, it's over and over again. We just try to, and we really kind of follow that as a design philosophy with our projects. When people come in and they want a million things at once, and a lot of times we ask them to so we'll do it. We'll do anything you want within reason, or if we're capable of doing it. But we really ask people to just go out and try it first. Like, let's do enough for you to go out and do this. You don't need to wait 2 years. Life is uncertain. Nothing is guaranteed. Get outside and do the things you love. And it doesn't take a lot of equipment. It's the basics of, and understanding what you're doing,
Yeah, I think the message is important for people listening. Like, it's just get outside. I think what we went through in the last 3 or 4 years, we were talking about this earlier.
Yeah.
Is how that's just kind of forced people to get outside. And
when all your other activities get removed. And remember when you were a kid, everyone talks about how they got, nowadays they're talking about their PlayStation, they're this and they're that. I'm like, what is that? I had outside.
And I had a Tonka truck in dirt.
I had outside.
Right? Right? Yeah. So you've probably seen a lot more of, I would imagine you've seen a lot more people.
We have seen a ton of that. And it's also shifting as the world changes back. People are creatures of habit. So we're seeing a lot of people that dove in to get outside for a minute, kind of fading back out of the scene. And the people that got into it now love it. And the people that have always done it are doing it twice as much. We're seeing that with public lands usage, across the country. The number of the use levels are just exponentially larger than they used to be. So people are learning to get outside, and they're also finding the benefits of it on so many aspects.
Speaking of public lands and stuff, I met you a couple years ago at an expo, and one of the first things you guys were talking about was your cleanup efforts. Talk about that a little bit. I thought it was really cool when you guys were talking about what you guys do.
So years and years ago, like 7 years ago, a car club I formed, we started doing cleanups yearly. An area we wheel at pretty regularly out here, China had back then. 16, 17 was a huge snow year. And we were also all transplants, fairly new. I'd only been here a couple years. And so we were wheeling around out there in the snow. It's something I'm completely addicted to. And major snow year, we didn't get far from town. I mean, there's 10 feet of snow everywhere. It was killer. And then in that spring, one of our youngest members, he was 17 at the time, he was riding around. It was with me or with a buddy one day, and we ran over a refrigerator. And we're like, where on earth? You know, because the snow's melting down, it's springtime, you know, everything's melting down. We're like, why is there a refrigerator out here? This is a beautiful wilderness area. And as the snow continued to melt, we ran into a problem it's nationwide, it's worldwide, it's everywhere. It's miseducation. It's a problem everywhere. The amount of trash that's being just left, dumped, whatever. In this case, it was a lot of old bin trash, like, you know, grandpa took Sonny Boy out with a fridge, you know, it quit working, they shoot it up and leave it. You know, I mean, just different culture, different mindset. It's easy to judge people, but it was just a different world, you know, and it's not, you can point fingers or you can do something about it. This kid, he looked at me and we're looking around going, that sucks. You know, this place is trashed underneath with this beautiful pristine snow we've been reeling on for 6 months. And we had no idea. And remember he looked at me, he said, well, can we do something about it? And all of us like semi-adults are, oh man, we should probably do something about this, huh? You know, I mean, like this kid, like nothing processed to him to blame or be angry or anything else. He just was like, well, could we do something about it? Like, all right, Dylan, what do you want to do about it? You got ideas? He's like, well, could we put on a cleanup? Like, yeah, we have the resources for that. We can put on a cleanup. Like we can put on a cleanup. Let's do it. So we threw together a cleanup effort, went to local businesses, asked for donations and things like that. And people the outpouring was incredible. Like they gave us gifts, so we had a raffle, we fed everybody. And in 3.5 hours, we cleaned up, I don't remember how many thousands of pounds of trash, but it was a bunch of trash.
You guys had one of those great big rollback, was it 1 or 2, where you guys were just throwing trash in it,
man.
you know?
Like that year, we had a couple of rollback dumpsters that the local, like the dump brought out for us, and we loaded them up, filled them up. It was a big impact. And we wound up doing that again. The next year, we turned it into an annual event. Through 2020, 2021 with COVID, couldn't get a Forest Service, like basically a volunteer service agreement because all activities are shut down. The car club didn't want to really take liability for that. And so myself and some friends, because I'd already made all the arrangements for dumpsters, already made all the arrangements for everything, went, it's outside.
Yeah.
Let's go outside and go hang out in the woods. It's the ultimate social distancing. So we went out and cleaned up, and because it was just a group of us just cleaning, just focused on cleaning, we didn't run an event, we didn't do anything else. We made a huge impact. 2021, it happened twice where we got shut down by COVID because I was still trying to run them as an event, but we couldn't. So it was just a group of us went out. That was also the first year that we were able to remove motor vehicles. That's a huge problem. It's a massive undertaking because of the legal ramifications with it.
Well, you got old school buses, you got dead RVs, you've got all kinds of things.
We have the ability to get these vehicles out. Class A motorhomes, that's a fun one. You'd be amazed where a tweaker can get a Class A motorhome.
Well, it's crazy. Like the pictures you guys were showing, I could not believe it. Like just
it's
abandoned.
Well, that's also like the things we were just talking about with COVID in the last few years of getting people outdoors and doing this. It's also sped up a lot of social issues. We're seeing now like the amount of abandoned houseless camps, homeless camps, things of that nature out there is kind of our primary thing that we're hitting on public lands. Bend has public land adjoining it. I mean, like house stops and then it's national land, national forest. So that is very unusual in that federal rules apply. So county, state, city, none of that applies, and there's no enforcement of anything. So the level of trash and the amount of stuff that's coming out in the type has been getting nuts. But we, back in 2022, we formed PLS Bend as an official organization and started pushing forward. And so 2022, 23, and now into 24, we're approaching 1 million pounds of trash we've taken out between vehicles, trash, and this is a small group of individuals here, and the community gets on board. We had one cleanup with 300 people showed up to just pick up trash.
1 million pounds, that's incredible.
It's pretty nuts. We had one cleanup that was 316,000 in 11 total hours between 2 days. A crew of the guys I like to hang out with, we went out and took out all the vehicles in one day, and it was 200,000 pounds. And then the next day with just the general volunteer cleanup, we pulled out 100,000 pounds. And Yeah, that's something I'm extremely passionate about, because growing up in Texas, they don't have public land. It's something like 3% of the state is actually available for recreation for just average citizens. Everything is private. If you don't have a friend with a ranch, you don't get to go play. Living here in Oregon with the, and you guys are the same over in Idaho, like the having those, that ability to go outside, to go places. Like, I mean, I can hop on my dual sport, I can hop in my truck and disappear for 10 hours and have an amazing day all on dirt and never really running into other people. You know, it's something that's extremely unique and something we feel very passionately about, needs to be protected. And it's something, that's why we just started doing this. We've been working with the Gambler 500, Sons of Smoky. They're just trying to get more people involved, because anyone can do it. None of us are special. None of us are unusual. Like, we literally are just some guys that drove our trucks around and then decided to, instead of driving over something, we picked it up. And that was the only like differentiating factor. Like, there's nothing special about me or any of us, other than we just decided to do something when presented with the opportunity versus passing it by. And anyone can do that.
What that does, that helps keep it open. It helps it keep it available for off-roading. That's another problem that's happening in other parts of the country, where off-roading is getting shut down left and right. But you need off-roading to be able to have access. To be able to clean it up. And there's arguments back and forth, whatever. But I mean, this is land that should be enjoyed, that should be seen. Not everybody can hike out there. Not everybody can fly over it. Not everybody can.
Perspective and perception is a funny thing. We decide that how we do something is how everybody should do it. And that was our one of our founding goals, was access for everyone. Like, it's the beauty of a country like ours is the ability to do so many different things. Like the off-roaders, like, we can take people and give them access that they, like you said, they can't hike. People with disabilities, people with things going on, like, we can get them out there so they can experience it too firsthand, and not as like a video or a description or whatever else. They can go out and sit in nature and like
breathe,
really see what it's about. Like, why is it so important? Like, why does it matter so much to keep land open, to be invested in it? You know, and it's well beyond, it directly affects me. It affects my livelihood, and it affects what I love to do. But well beyond that is, like, I don't have kids, I don't plan on it, but I look around my friends who have kids, like, well, they should at least have the opportunity and chance to do the things I did and get to see the land I saw, rather than it going away and just going, oh, it's just not how it is anymore.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I've only been in the industry for about 5 years, but previous to knowing Alan, we didn't do a ton of that kind of stuff, and it just wasn't something that we did. And now I'm getting more and more excited about, let's just go and go places. Let's go have fun. And I think that's what America needs, is to get kids outside and move around and see the beauty and take it all in.
A friend of mine who was in the Special Forces once told me, movement is life. If you're still moving, you're alive. And it is permanently stuck with me, because it's so true. If there is movement, there's life. And when we become sedentary and sit around and don't do anything and don't get out and explore, whether it's fear or, permanent fear is one of the biggest things that causes us problems. Look at in your industry, people buying stuff because they're afraid of getting stuck, getting whatever, but creating tools and giving tools to mitigate or eliminate that fear. Like, it's competence through capability, our capability and security through competence. That ability to,
and we see that with other players, competitors in our space, where it's, they'll prey on the fear.
Right.
And one of the things that, we would rather do is enable.
Yes.
And how, and empower.
Yeah.
How can we enable and empower? Yeah, educate of risk.
Sure.
Just say, hey, here's the list of risks. Okay.
Right.
But oh my gosh, you're gonna die, or there's something terrible could
Last
happen.
time I checked, we all do.
Yeah, we all do. It's gonna happen. So how do we enable, empower, and inspire people to have fun and peace of mind? And that I mean, it gives me goosebumps talking about that. But if we stay there, then it's more healthy, it's more congruent, it's just a better, and then people are of the right mindset to do the right decision.
If you're invested in something, you care for it. It's this lack of personal responsibility in our world causes so many issues. It's kind of what you just said about like enabling. When you enable people to take responsibility for their own life and like pursue a path, it opens up so many avenues for them. It opens up their mind, heart, everything about it. Like you're just better in every aspect. It's empowering people is so important.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have just been canceled.
Well, you said personal responsibility. I did. I harp on that a lot, and it is not a popular topic anymore.
No.
Like, personal responsibility is one that like people, well, you see, it's because of this, this, and this. I'm like, well, yeah, but you can recognize it, right? If you can recognize something, now whose responsibility is it? It's the person who can recognize it.
Yeah.
In the business world, I love that space 'cause it's all about empowering and improving and the self-development aspect of it.
Yeah.
What have been some of like your biggest challenges on the business side of things for you personally?
For me personally, learning how to do it. I didn't come from a business background. It kind of blew up, and I'm really stubborn. Like I'm really stubborn. Like immovable force, unstoppable object. Like it's so learning how to do it. Like learning to figure it out, reaching out to people, learning to ask for help. Instead of like immediately ask for help. I don't know how to do this. How should I do this? Is there a way to do this better? Can I do this better? The aha moments, like for me, like we took on our first employee and it was like, oh boy, like I'm personally responsible for this guy getting to eat, for his family getting to eat, for, that's on me. And that really like shifts your mindset around to like, what do I have to do to make this work?
Me and Alan spend a lot of time talking about that. I mean, we have 26, 27 employees, and that's a big responsibility.
Oh yeah, I've got.
It'll wake you up at night.
Yeah, I fortunately I don't have that problem. I sleep really well all the time.
Yeah, good.
I taught myself to sleep when I had insomnia when I was like 16, and I had to train myself to sleep.
I need to learn some things from you.
Yeah.
So I have never had a bad night's sleep since.
Good.
After the podcast,
25 years.
Yeah.
We're gonna talk. We're gonna talk because my mind's constantly just like racing.
You got to learn how to shut it off. That is that.
Yeah.
Well, what I like too is that you're doing something that you love and it's fun, and then that's magnetic. And
Right.
It's horsepower and exploration. There's performance. I mean, this whole channel's about just having fun.
Yeah.
And pushing the limits of vehicles and seeing what you can do. There's exotics, there's horsepower, there's racing and all that, but you're about pushing the limits of distance and obstacle.
Right. What can you get over, around, and how far can you go?
Yeah.
And how big of tires can I put on that?
That was that's my personal quest. What happened is I love snowmobiling.
Yeah.
And so I started on 35s.
Yeah.
And that was a big tire, You're cool, rad. And then
How long ago was that?
8 years.
8 years ago.
And then
So is that the
5 years ago I went to 40s.
Because they say, what is it? The 40s are the old.
37s are the new 35s, and 40s are the new, the new 37s. And it's completely true. I went 35s, 40s, 42s, V8 swap, and then now it's about to get some 1-ton axles and 46-inch tires. And again, that was that distance thing you talk about. Some people want to travel over land with no obstacles. They just want to go. They want to travel. They want to see a lot. And I love that. And I don't use that truck for that. I hop in one of the other ones and go places. For me, it was how far can I go past something that people would normally ever see. I've taken people out in the woods when we're snow whaling, and they're like, I had no idea a vehicle could do this. It's like, oh yeah, it's time, it's money, and it's mostly time and gas. Like you learn to do something so out of the ordinary. You get to experience. When you choose to go out and do something unusual, you get to see, learn, and feel things that are unusual. Like it's well outside of our normal frame of reference. And like deep winter, getting 40 miles into the backcountry on 10 feet of snowpack is something and with warmth, and you can camp. We love winter camping. You get out there and it's wild. You get a 10-foot tall bonfire and your front half's melting and your back half's frozen to something. And, it's just a wild experience most people don't get to see. And we through the business, we've been trying to we build these vehicles for people, and they usually wind up starting to want to press the limits. We've taken a few people out. That Defender, he wanted to get out in the snow. He saw videos, he saw whatever else. So him and his son-in-law, who also has a truck we built, were like, yeah, let's go. And they came out, and they're both on 32-inch tires and struggling. And we lost a bunch of beads that day. Tires fell off the rim. We just put them back on. It's normal for us. And
that's such a paradigm shift for somebody that's never been involved with that.
Oh, yeah.
Whoa, and I didn't know you could do this or push that, or
you can push that or do that, or that you could fix these problems.
Uh-huh.
You know, if there's a problem, there's a solution. I like to think that I have just solution-based thinking. What's the solution to this? Instead of like focusing target fixation on the problem, what's the solution? Okay, here's a problem. What's my solution? I'm not even going to think about the problem again until I have a solution.
Right.
And then I go back to the problem because I can't do anything about that right now. That's a thing.
Yep.
But I can do something about the solution. And so that was, we took him out. So now he is literally in the computer as X's pursuit for 37 or quest for 37s. So that Defender is on my lift right now with a subframe hanging out of it with a 5-inch lift and going to 37-inch tires.
Holy cow.
It's wild. Like,
You mentioned
wild.
something about that build earlier. I don't know if you could share that. You were talking about, you know, he wanted certain things to be able to,
one of the most ridiculous / awesome. When he came to me with this, I remember looking at him dumbfounded. I was like, "You want what?" He's like, "I want my rice cooker." I was like, "You want what?" He's like, "No, whatever we put in this truck for my power assembly and system, it has to power his rice cooker." And he's got a $400 or $500 rice cooker. I was like, "Well,
That's important.
that's a first, right? For
that
you?
was absolutely first." And I was like, "I get it. I love rice. Like,
Yeah.
it's a staple."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Okay, well, bring it to me so I can check the specs and see what it is and what the power draw is and what we need to build into your system for this." That's how I wound up with an inverter and 240 amp hours of lithium. And all of this is, you can't see any of it. It's all integrated into the chassis that I built for him. While he only lost about 1.25 inches of floor space vertically.
Wow.
I integrated everything into the componentry. Like, it still has the factory storage assembly under the rear. You spin a couple knobs and pop the whole factory rear storage assembly, and all of that's laid out from Land Rover is still underneath. With the seat delete, I was able to integrate everything into the space underneath. Now it's all accessible in 5 minutes. You can take everything apart. You can't see it from the outside. It all looks like permanent, but you can take the whole assembly apart in 5 minutes, service whatever you need to do, and put it back together. And so it's got some really unique, interesting things like Bluetooth capability to tell you where your state of charge discharge is, like how much your rice cooker just pulled out of the system. Power, it's wild. He has a really wild feature is on his roof rack. We built in, he can swap awnings from side to side wherever he wants them, just unclip them and move them around as he desired. But there's also a Zargas box, an all aluminum Zargas box on the roof that he unclips, flips over, and sets onto his spare tire and the rack that's on it, the spare tire holder on it, unclips the latches, puts a plug in, and then can pipe diesel powered heat into his, and it's all quick disconnects with everything hidden around the vehicle. So he just pops that out, and then he's got 75-degree warm inside. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, it's a luxury mansion out in the middle of the woods. Now it's going to be on 37s.
Yeah, it's funny with what happened just a couple of years ago, the innovation, the ease of build, all of the stuff that has happened. And I mean, that's going to change the automotive industry and off-road forever.
Well, just look at what the stereo market did back. Were you guys ever stereo enthusiasts? Like back in the late 90s?
Yep.
Stereo shops were making a killing because everyone wanted, 210s in the back, 212s if you're a baller, you had 15s, everybody wanted that. And it became a multi-million-dollar market, and the OEMs went, wait, what?
Yeah.
What's that? And they jumped in. We're seeing the same thing from all these manufacturers now that have Overland editions and this and that. And it's becoming getting out in the woods in your vehicle is becoming a mainstream thing, which I'm super grateful for because it gets more people outdoors instead of sitting inside.
It has this tendency to bumble up, and then the OEs are listening.
Yeah.
And it takes a while for them to start to implement. There's R&D, there's all that stuff.
Yeah.
And anyways, but in this space, you've had obviously a lot of fun. You've built a lot of different things. In closing, if you were to push somebody over the edge to get into off-roading or overlanding, what's your one statement like to get, as far as getting started?
Just go outside. It doesn't take anything specific. You don't have to wait for perfection or wait for something to be perfect before you get out and do it. Just go outside. It doesn't matter whether you drive a Honda Civic or a fully built Land Cruiser. You can still get outside. You can still enjoy the benefits of nature and the things that it brings you for you and your family. Like,
I only have a minivan.
Drive that too.
Yeah.
That's the thing, is like, just go outside and try it. You know, it's people dive in and spend $1 million on something and do whatever and find out they don't really like it or isn't for them or whatever else. Just go outside. Just go do it. Like, get into the, you know, you think of sometimes the off-road world is a little imposing or scary, because you think of the, you know, or maybe your mindset or my idea of about who's doing it is like, it's a bunch of yeehaws running around, throwing Coors Light cans everywhere, trashing the woods. You know, you're picturing people spinning cookies out in their old F-250 or something. And the reality is that the vast majority of this population is so like stewardship minded, and like they're passionate about like public land, about being outdoors. I see, you know, the guys that they get out and they pick up the trash as they drive by. They drive by, see a can on the side of the road, they get out and pick it up. And a lot of times it's a guy in the modified truck doing whatever. You know, our societal perceptions of who these people are is so off and so different. And choosing to just go out and try it, like, get in that space, try something new. You'll meet good people. You'll see so much more than you ever would have. I mean, there are no negatives to getting outside and going exploring and seeing this world we've been blessed with. Like, there just aren't any, you know. And use some common sense to, you know, don't try and follow me in your minivan. It's a bad idea. I will get you into trouble.
Yeah.
It'll be a bad space, and you won't have a minivan anymore.
Yeah.
You know, it'll be in a pile somewhere.
Yeah.
But it's over and over again. Just get outside. Like, just go do it. So many people are so scared of starting. You know, that fear of failure means that they never start. Yeah. And just get rid of that fear of failure. Like, give it a whirl. You might scrape your knees. You might, you know, whatever. But it's way, way worse than not getting to experience what's out there for you. Yep. Like, that to me is like the ultimate failure, is to not at least try.
Yeah, the fear of, you know, the possibility of getting in trouble will sometimes keep people from having fun. And I think...
Or just living.
Like,
or just feeling like you can't do it. And I know that was like kind of a fear of mine. Like, it's like, I don't know how to do this. And all these people are like, you know, watching or whatever. I don't know what I'm doing. And it's like, I'm past that, but that's I love that message.
Like, look at a child, a small child. They don't know how to walk either, but they keep wanting to, and then they start trying, and then they give it a whirl and they fall down. They give it a whirl and they fall down, but they keep going, and they eventually, because they want to live, they want to do these things, they want to get out, they want to go places, they want to, you know, it's built into our psyche. And I don't know where we went wrong as a culture and society, that we started trying to repress our human abilities. Like, if a human can do it, so can you.
Yep.
Like,
if anybody else can do it, you just got to break it down to enough baby steps. You can go to the moon. Just break it down into enough baby steps.
How do you eat a whale?
Yeah.
You know?
You can put a rice cooker in a vehicle.
Yeah. It's something you can be comfortable while you're doing it, and have a really
total
good
comfort.
Yeah, have a really good meal. It's
Out
all in
in the middle
steps.
of nowhere.
Yeah, it's all in steps. That's the thing, is take the first step. Like, when people ask, like, what should you do? Like, take the first step. Put some gas in your car. Go drive around.
Yeah.
Like, and maybe it was scary and intimidating and whatever else, and then come back, work through that, and go do it again. And if you truly hate it at some point, quit doing it.
Yeah.
But virtually no one I've ever known that has actually gotten outside, and outside of their comfort zone, outside of their frame of reference, outside all the boxes that we as humans put ourselves in. As soon as you like unbox that, the freedom is it's intoxicating, and you can't go back. Like, I can't go back. Like, ever. I will always be going further, farther, higher, faster, harder. Like, it's an addiction, but like the most positive possible development for something of that nature. Like, you just can't get enough after that, and your life is so much more enriched because of it.
So next time we talk, are you going to be talking about 50s?
Dude, I ordered those 46s.
Is that like the next thing?
No, believe it or not, it's not. I ordered those 46s like, I don't know, 3-4 weeks ago. They're at the shop there. You have to check them out because they're ridiculous. I was literally hovering over the 58s. I was doing that. I was literally like, no. But I was hovering over it. I was like, but I want to drive this truck on the street. I'm literally going to drive this around. They're DOT rated 46s. I'm going to drive it around Bend. It's going to see it on the street. It's just going to look ridiculous.
Everyone will hear the tires before they hear
tracking
the
tires on the way. Oh yeah. But I was hovering over the 58s. At some point, I will own a vehicle on 58s unless they come out with a bigger DOT size, because I drive everything on the street. I cannot stand like just. And I don't want to own things most of the time that like you have to put it on a trailer and take it here, and then you use it less and less and less. Like, one of my trucks is on 42s. I was daily driving it. I drove it everywhere, and people pull up next to you, look over, and whoa.
Yeah.
You know, when we had that last snowstorm, and I was driving around town, and people are struggling everywhere, and I was like,
And you're just like, huh.
well, I was like bypassing things like in and out of parking lots over the like 4-foot walls, and because I could go wherever I wanted.
Yeah.
You know, and just, I was in low range in town, so I'm just 4 psi. I was just driving over things, and you're just like, oh well, if traffic stopped and in the way, I'll just go over there. You know.
And then see somebody stuck and pop them out.
Yeah, so
Keep
no, we
going.
won't be talking about 40, 50s. We'll be talking about 58s. They're bigger. I just found out
We look forward to that.
Tut utility trucks over there. They do those little amphibious. Whatever they are, but they were like 61-inch tires. They just released a 65-inch tire for the U.S., a paddle.
Oh my gosh.
I'm going, but it's a paddle tire. Like, yeah, it doesn't work for what I do with the truck.
crazy.
But, yeah. Tires are an addiction. When I had performance cars, I was like, can I get 315s on that? How about 345s? You know, and then,
Always stretching the limit.
oh yeah, it always, and it continued on into this world. It's the biggest rubber I can fit on the truck.
Yeah.
And then cut it away. That Land Cruiser on 42s only had a 4-inch lift in the front, 3-inch lift in the back, and then it was all tub to fit. And now I'm actually going to tube out the front, rehang bodywork. It'll look factory. It'll look just like it did. It'll look exactly like that, except that I'm going to push the axle 2.5 inches forward, rear axle 3 inches back, just cut to match into the door and into the body, and then reform it all. So it'll look factory.
Yeah.
Factory.
It's not factory.
It's not factory.
It'll be. I'm hoping to actually keep it no more than like 2 to 4 inches taller than it is right now, but on 46s.
Holy cow.
So it's going to be a ginormous.
What do you think that project, or how
that
project
is-
will take it?
Because everyone else's stuff comes first.
Yeah.
I'm hoping to have it together for next season.
Cool.
That's awesome.
Like I'm gonna drive my little truck if we get out at all and play this weekend. I'll bring my little mullet truck. Maybe I was having a few beverages and got the Sawzall out one day, and I cut the roof off of one of my cruisers. So it's now a little pickup truck.
Yeah.
It's a party machine.
It's a good stepping stone, or it's just a good backup vehicle for the other
It's
one
a
until it's
blast.
yeah.
And it's also about to be turbocharged with
Yeah.
the kit we're developing.
And that the
gonna be a
next
party.
the next time we get together, I want to talk about turbochargers and horsepower in that 1FZ.
Oh,
in
you'd be amazed what's about to happen.
oh, that's exciting.
We got a
turbos,
lot to talk about.
turbos, 1FZs. That the
Standalone engine management solutions, bolt-in,
Yep.
with no modifications to your wiring harness or your firewall. They're already there. In about 2 weeks, I'll have some more photos and videos for you.
yeah, just teaser for the next video. People do not appreciate that 1FZ.
Oh, it's
is the
I mean, I did a VA swap in my big truck, but this one is staying 1FZ, and the performance potential is absolutely bananas. It's been done in other places in the world. We just are way behind on
well,
this particular
the dollar per horsepower is prohibitive.
Right,
For
which
but,
is-
but being here in Bend, that makes that a little bit easier.
Yeah,
and
people
it's
that want to keep the kind of the purest aspect, because we're not going to have to cut the vehicle up. We're using an air water intercooler and some other little tidbits of fun stuff. So you're not going to have to cut these vehicles up. If you've got a $40,000 collector edition, it can stay that way.
yeah,
No
that's awesome.
modifications to 99% of it.
Well, we could talk for another hour on just that,
Yeah.
and all of the
Yeah.
intricacies of that engine. But if someone was considering building a very unique, exotic overland, import, domestic, whatever, where do they find you?
We're in Bend. You can find us on, I think it's techniquevo.com. I have to double check. I don't even know my own website.
We'll put the link in the
But
description. Yeah.
Technique Vehicle Outfitters in Bend, Oregon. We're right in the middle of town. Phone number is 541-550-0252. Actually remember that one. Yeah, it's been around for a minute. But yeah, you can find us in Bend, and we'd love to work with people. We do, I know that we talked about our really high level builds and the
Yeah.
really exotic stuff that costs insane amounts of money. We also do basic Toyota maintenance. We keep your rig on the road. We really focus, we're Toyota centric, but we do a ton of really unique builds. A lot of F-250, full size pickup trucks.
Especially when you're getting into like the Collector's 40 Series, Land Cruiser,
Yep.
the
Oh, yeah.
40th anniversary.
Yeah.
These things are getting older. They're a little more fussy.
You
and
have a
so-
lot of miles.
You have a
most
lot of
them.
miles,
You know,
yep.
we're now seeing 300, 400,000 mile rigs come through. Still running great. And so we do we do the basic stuff too. We do a ton of Tacomas, 4Runners, like just did 3 or 4 this week with basic suspension lifts. They're ready to get outdoors.
So if all you want to do is just get your Land Cruiser another 150, 300,
Come in and see us.
600,000 miles,
We'd love to take care of it. It doesn't have to be a big build. It can be, you need an alternator replacement. We're happy to do that.
Those are
You know,
fun.
it's- Yeah, not really.
And you're on are you on YouTube?
We're on
and
Instagram and Facebook. Instagram primarily. We are a very small shop. Sometimes people come in and they're very startled. We have a nice facility, and we're expanding in another couple months, but it's a small shop manpower-wise. We all push hard. There's just 4 of us doing all of this, and it's, they're always startled, but yeah.
Yeah, well, you get it done, and you get it done right.
Amazing stuff. That's awesome.
Well, thanks.
We appreciate you. Thanks for
having me. This was a blast.
Next time we'll maybe do like a 2-hour session.
There's lots to talk about. I can see where this is going. I think we're on the same page here.
I see a big turbos and other things on the table next time. So
talk philosophy, talk turbos.
yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Thanks, y'all. I appreciate it.